Me, when working with children, we have to be passionate about what we do. We have to service each child's individual need. We have to know our sole purpose in that child's life, which is your why. Stay dedicated to never giving up on the journey in order to see the results. The end result is the success of each child you've encountered and made a difference in their world. So keep in mind that sometimes people do a job because they're getting paid or getting rewarded in the end, right? Well, most people do it for the outcome, not the income. For myself, the outcome is more important because I am passionate about student success. Okay, classroom management. So, what would you define classroom management as? Classroom management is defined as the wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive, on task, and academically productive during a class. When classroom management strategies are executed effectively, teachers minimize the behaviors that impede learning for both individual students and groups of students, while maximizing the behaviors that facilitate or enhance learning. So, classroom management basically drives your instruction. Without classroom management, your lesson will not be effective to your students. It is very important that you have a handle on your classroom management. And again, this is just a surface of classroom management. I have more in-depth information and upcoming other webinars to go more in-depth. But just remember, this is just a surface and just touching the basis of some effective classroom management strategies. And as always, please ensure that you have classroom management skills, because without these skills, your lesson will not be effective. I just want to stress that for a moment. Culture and climate. So, culture and climate of a classroom are extremely important. No one wants to enter a room that is unwelcoming and full of chaos. I know I don't. The culture and climate of your classroom say a lot about you as the educator. So if I was to walk in a classroom and I feel sad and gloomy and bored, that says a lot about the teacher within that classroom. If I walk into a classroom and I'm just excited and happy and just ready for the next segment, that also says a lot about the educator, right? So ask yourself and reflect on the following questions. Is your classroom welcoming? Is your classroom safe? Would you want your own child in a classroom like yours? Do you feel cluttered in your classroom? Is the environment educationally friendly? Do you provide a diverse culture within your classroom? Because remember, a lot of us teach at Title I schools, right? Or encounter students from different backgrounds. So I feel that right there is super important to have a diverse culture within your classroom, okay? When you create a positive culture and climate within your classroom, your students' engagement will increase and they will be excited about learning. So you need to ensure that the culture and climate of your classroom is very welcoming and not chaotic, cluttered, dirty, paper all over your desk. You know, that's where you come to teach, not where you live. So you have to be mindful of the culture and climate of your classroom, because you need to provide an environment that is conducive to learning for your students. Moving along, building relationships. Oh man, a lot of us struggle to build relationships with our students. But best believe it, once you build those relationships, everything else will fall into line. According to ASCD, relationships are the core of a cohesive classroom. find strategies for connecting with students and their families, building key relationships, sustaining skills into your classroom culture, and reflecting on your own practice in ways that reconnect with this fundamental R of teaching. So you can't teach without the relationship, okay? When you take time and get to know your students, they will comply for you, okay? A child will not learn from a teacher that he or she does not like, okay? So if a child knows that they don't like coming to your class, they're not going to put their best foot forward, okay? But if a child knows that you care for them and you go out of your way to get to know them on a more personal level and understand them, they will not want to disappoint you. And so you need to build meaningful and lasting relationships with your students. Setting your expectations. Reflect on the following. If you are starting a new job and no one explained to you what the expectations are, I assume you would wing it and do your own thing until someone corrects you or explains to you their expectations, right? So just like in your classroom, your expectations needs to be set out the first day, okay? You have to explain to your students the very first day what your expectations are of them, okay? What you expect them to do within your classroom, and ask them what are their expectations of you as a teacher, okay? Many educators make the mistake by only explaining their expectation in the first month of school and then forget about it. Once you set your expectations, you have to ensure it's being reiterated to your students on a daily basis. It needs to be a part of your daily dialogue, okay? You can't just set out your expectations the first few weeks and then you have, this amount of months left in school and you forgot about your expectations. No, it needs to be a part of your daily dialogue with your students. When setting expectations, to ensure the following, please keep in mind these pointers. They must align with your subject area that you're teaching, okay? Make sure it's aligned with it so your students can connect to it and see the meaning behind your expectations, okay? Make sure that it's not lengthy, okay? Straight to the point. Parents and students are aware of them. Not just your students, your parents need to be aware of what your expectations are as the educator so they can support you outside of the classroom, okay? They need to make sense, okay? You can't say no raising your hand. Well, what if they have a question? What if they have to use the bathroom? So they have to make sense. They need to be visible within the classroom. When they walk in, they should see your expectations. When any administrator walk in, they should see your expectations. If you're hosting a parent-teacher conference, they should see your expectations, okay? They need to be visible. Creating a reward system. So I want you to reflect on the following and ask yourself, would you work for free? I'm pretty sure a lot of you are probably shaking your head no, or saying heck no, or, just straight up, no, you won't work for free. How about, would you work harder knowing you will be rewarded in the end? Of course, especially if you are excited about the reward, if you know what the reward is going to be, of course you're going to work harder, right? Okay, well, create a reward system for your students. Believe it or not, a child will work harder knowing you promise them something in the end, even if it's a new pencil, okay? If you tell the child, oh, ensure that you do this, this, and that, like this, and you will get this at the end. They will follow your steps. They will listen. They're going to ensure that they did everything to the point where they exceeded your expectation just because they know they will be rewarded in the end, okay? There is a saying, hard work pays off. Yes, it does. And you have to teach your students that. You have to. I've heard many educators say before, why should I reward a student for doing something they are supposed to do? They're supposed to do it. They should know better, right? Well, that's a yes and a no. Yes, the students are supposed to do their work. Yes, the students are supposed to behave. But do they know that? Okay? Sometimes you have to teach and educate your students on how to behave and how to work hard, right? Then again, we are educators. That is our job. We are supposed to teach them. So we can't say, oh, they're supposed to know this, they're supposed to know this. Well, what if they're not being taught that at home? That is why they're in our classroom today, right? Because we need to educate them. Don't just teach them, you have to educate them, okay? By creating a reward system, the following will occur: student motivation, appropriate behaviors, increased self-esteem, completed assignments, and most importantly, less class disruption. When you have a class that's working towards a goal and everyone is on the same page, you will have less class disruption. Everyone have a common goal, okay? So that is important. Reward system works. And don't just create it on your own. Involve the students. Ask them their opinion. Ask them what would they like to work towards, right? Because in the end, they're the one being rewarded. So if it's not meaningful for them, they're not going to work towards it. So please involve them, okay? Following through, I want you to reflect on the following. You just started a new job. Woohoo! Congratulations. And your amazing friend promised to pick you up and take you to work. That must be a real good friend, right? Until the day of, last minute, your friend calls you and tell you he or she can't make it. How would you feel? Of course, you'll be upset. You'll be mad. You probably won't be friends anymore, right? Well, say what you mean and mean what you say. Once you have established your relationship with your students, you want to ensure you maintain those relationships, okay? Once you have established your expectations, ensure you follow through with your consequences. Once you have established your reward systems, ensure you follow through with whatever the reward is supposed to be. Okay? You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay? Do not make false promises. Following through is the essential for a positive and successful outcome. Failure to follow through jeopardizes the trust relationship between you and your students. Okay, so always remember to follow through. Stand your ground. And we're not talking about law enforcement. When you are addressing disruptive behaviors and redirecting a student, you have to be firm. Okay, being firm doesn't mean that you're being mean or being too aggressive. Students may not take you seriously if they feel they can take advantage of a situation. Okay? As stated before, say what you mean and mean what you say. You have to ensure students know you have zero tolerance for disrespect and inappropriate behaviors. Okay? According to Teaching for America, just because you're an easygoing teacher doesn't mean you don't have high expectations for your students. So a lot of people normally ask, you're so cool with your students. It's like you're their friend, but they respect you. They don't cross the line. Well, yes, after building those relationships, you have to ensure that you still stand your ground. You have to have a line that they don't cross. There are boundaries, right? You have to be firm, right? The expectations you set for your students and yourself as a teacher are critical to their success. And they're also key to creating a classroom environment where your laid back personality can truly shine. So if you're easygoing, if you're understanding, your students can learn and you can effectively articulate a lesson if you stand your ground and be firm about your expectations and maintaining those relationships with your students and family, okay? Approach. One of my most excited part of this presentation is about the approach. Why? Because the most common question a lot of my colleagues and other teachers ask me normally is, how do I get my students to listen to me? I literally had a teacher ask me, how do you get them to listen to you? I mean, you don't yell at them, you're not mean to them, but they just listen to you. They just respect you. Well, yeah, my one and only answer is my approach. Okay? Approach is everything. As adults, if someone approaches us in a negative way, you're going to check them. I am pretty sure you're going to check them, right? So I respect my students as I want them to respect me. They are human beings too, so we need to respect them, okay? How you approach your students in situations define you as an educator, not just only an educator, but also a human being, an adult, okay? You have to approach students with respect, okay? You have to be patient with your students. With that being said, that is why it is so important to build positive and meaningful relationships with your students. You should know when and how to approach a student and de-escalate the situation. Okay, I've been in many situations where another teacher cannot de-escalate a situation, but as soon as I walk up to a student, they're complying with me without me even saying anything. Just my presence alone changes their attitude in a positive way, right? Knowing how to handle a student's behavior before it escalates prevent you from stopping your lesson and also calling for additional support. Last but not least, be approachable so your students feel safe coming to you for help. And it doesn't necessarily have to be help for classwork. It could be help in their personal life, help because they're being bullied, help with another class issue. It could be anything. You need to be approachable so your students can feel comfortable speaking to you, okay? More questions and less demands. So as educators, we want our students to respect us. However, they need to be respected as well. Instead of demanding an order out of students, we should respectfully ask or instruct our students to do whatever it is we are asking at that time. We have to treat our students with love and respect, okay? Have you ever stopped and wondered the following? I want you to ask yourself these questions, okay? Did that child eat this morning? Put yourself back in the classroom maybe a month or two ago in a situation where you had an encounter with a student and ask yourself, how could you have handled the situation differently, right? Did that child eat this morning? Did that child have a good night's sleep? Do you know what challenges that child is currently facing at home? Did you greet that child with a welcoming smile today? Did you let that child know you care about them? Does that child feel safe with you? Can that child even relate to you as a teacher? Can you relate to that child's life, right? The list can go on, okay? You have to put yourself sometime in these kids' shoes because sometimes they're dealing with so much more than you can think of. Okay, it's sad to say, but sometimes these students carry a lot of weight on their shoulders, and instead of demanding, we need to ask. Okay, ask how they're doing. How are they? We need to ask. Before you get angry with a student, fed up, frustrated, or overwhelmed, ask yourself, is there another way I can handle this situation? The answer is yes. All you have to do is ask the child, are you okay? Why are you upset? Is there anything I can do to help? Ask before you demand. Don't assume, okay? Ask, okay? Be passionate, be understanding. Love your children as if they're your own. Okay, parent communication. According to Oxford, communication is defined as the important of exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. Parent or guardian communication is vital to the academic and behavior success of a child. It is important to have an open and effective line of communication with your students, parent, or guardian. When you, the parent, and student are all on the same page, it increases positive behavior within the classroom for that child. According to Reading Rockets, good two-way communication between families and schools is necessary for your student's success. Not surprisingly, research shows that the more parents and teachers share relevant information with each other about a student, the better equipped both will be to help that student achieve academically. So parent communication is a huge topic. And like I stated earlier, this is just a surface of topics that I am covering, and there are going to be more in-depth webinars about some of these topics, but I am not going too in detail with these topics, but parent communication is highly recommended, okay? Follow up. As educators, when we set our expectations and in the motion of everything, we have to remember to follow up with our students and our parent or guardian. According to Teach Hub, follow-up can take on a variety of forms, but it ultimately has a simple basis. Ask students how they're doing and how you can help. To follow up with students means that they are approached and given an opportunity to chat about how they're doing in your class. If they're doing well and feeling comfortable, then great, right? If not, then certain actions need to be taken to ensure that students have the proper support to help them progress. Following up with the parent or guardian can be a simple email, phone call, or a note letting them know how their child is doing in your class. As an educator, following up with students is essential for helping students get to where they need to be. Okay? You don't just build relationships and then forget about them. You maintain those relationships, okay? So I know it was a quick webinar, but like I stated, this is just a surface of information I can share with you. If you would like to go more in depth, you can email me, okay? And I can schedule one-on-one live webinar private sessions with you. This PowerPoint is also available upon request. All you have to do is email me, jodianne@francoisenterpriseus.com. Also, I included some resources here for you. So if you would also like these links, I can email them to you for free. Yes, I will email them to you for free. All you have to do is request this presentation along with the links, okay? Also, to connect with us, here is the website, our Facebook, Instagram, email, and our contact number. If you would like more information about this webinar or upcoming webinar, or you just need some details on one or two of the topics I covered, please feel free to email me, okay? And again, thank you for tuning in for this quick webinar on 10 highly effective classroom management strategies. Again, if you would like to receive this presentation personally, all you have to do is email me, call me, or Instagram, Facebook, or visit our website.